Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I am super excited to share with you today another high performance interview. Joining me today is Mark Matthews. He is another incredible high performance coach and here to be a leader in discussing his living through high performance, which is all about being successful over the long term while still maintaining your relationships and your well being. And Mark is definitely the epitome of that. I actually got to meet him very recently during the recertification that us coaches have to do every year. And I was just blown away by his energy and his charisma. So I'm super excited to jump into this conversation with you today. So, Mark, thank you so much for being here today. I would love for you to just share a little bit about yourself and your background and give us some nuggets about Mark.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much, Heather, for having me here and to have this discussion because the first thing you should know about me is I love the mission of being a high performer. I genuinely believe that we are lost as a society
Mhm.
as to what we need to aim at, how we need to live. And quite literally, if you really break it down, I think it's very simple. It's that we need to aim to create something that matters to us, do it extremely well, and to do it in fulfilling fashion. If
Mm.
we can do that, then everybody around us gets a model of how to live, the art of living well, the art of creating something that matters. And so for me, long story short, I come to that because I lived in a world where I saw the opposite. I lost my mom at 9 years old, my dad at 17 years old. And more importantly, I grew up in the patterns of a family after family after family and community that was broken down and in despair. And worse, they were making it worse because they didn't know any better. They didn't have the tools that we have. They didn't have the strategies that we have. They also didn't have the relationships that we cultivate that would allow them to see it differently. And luckily, for some reason, my family assumed that I was the black sheep in a good way, that I was born to be different, that I was going to change the legacy of the family. And they told me that since I was a little kid, that I was going to do
Mm.
great things. I was going to change the world. And they also said that I wasn't like them. There was a clear differentiation, and so my whole life, I've owned that story. I've made that decision that I'm going to be the man that my mom needed. I've decided that I'm going to be the inspiring person that they asked me to be. And so they sold me the story. I decided to take it. And as I've taken it, I've been able to cultivate a life where I see the significance in every little thing that I get to do. And I also see how to navigate life through the tools that we use through high performance living that allows me to not just see it and live it, but to sustain it and to be able to sustain it. I'm able to increase capacity. I'm able to ask for more responsibility. I'm able to go out and have more relationships in a world where people are constantly feeling like they have too much and they're overwhelmed, yet they want to experience more of life.
Isn't that incredible when you really embrace that high performance living style that you can actually do more? Because we get into this trap where we think to be successful, we have to burn ourselves down into the ground. When in actuality, just playing it smart and being able to, I love when you talked about just cultivating a life and really designing a life that you love and that works for you. But yeah, it's like more is less, but also when you are doing more, it's that high impact, that driven, high performance type of a lifestyle. Love that.
I'm 100% with you. And I love how you actually, it's crazy because it's our core high performance habit of clarity, not just clarity about what we want, but who we are. For me, I know that no matter what happens in this world, I am going to show up and respond in the most inspiring way possible.
Mm,
Whether it is
mm.
the most beautiful gift given to me, I will show up with an inspirational humility and gratitude that makes sure that that gift just keeps getting amplified. If it's the greatest struggle, like losing my mom
Mm.
or working with clients who have been through really tough stuff, stuff that they're afraid to talk to people about, if there's a struggle, that I can show up to it in the most inspiring fashion. In life, I think we get so stuck on what is happening to me. Why is this happening to me? And if you want to move into high performance, those are questions, and they're questions, they're not to be ignored. But the question that is always there as well is, and what am I going to do with this? What am I going to create with this? How am I going to grow with this and give a gift that nobody would have had if they didn't get this struggle, where we honor that struggle and then we use it to create progress? And it's not fake. It's not BS. It's not, we just talk about it here. If you're really living it, that is your daily life. That is your default. It's not your when the camera's on. And because I know that's possible, and because that's what I experienced, I can't help but want to share that with the entire world because I believe everyone can experience that.
I so agree. And I love your passion behind just honoring the struggle. So, for the person out there who is like, honor the struggle, yeah, right. I am drowning here and life is hard and challenging. And I am the person saying, why me? What would you say to that person who to just help them to learn why honoring the struggle is so important and can actually be helpful in their life?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things that I would say to that person, like if you're out there, if you're listening to this right now and you're like, yeah, easy for him to say for whatever reason, or you're like, man, I'm glad he can feel that way, but
Right,
I
right.
just don't see how it's possible for me. Wherever you're at, if you're not believing that that's true, you're not tapped in. I'd say two things. The first thing that I would say is if you're in the struggle right now, and honor the struggle sounds like an attack or it
Mm,
sounds like a false dream, I would submit to you to consider that maybe there's no way you could know. You don't know what's coming in the future. I have a PhD in psychology. And the greatest thing that I learned in studying at the doctoral level, which is 12 years of in depth mastery of the human mind, brain, and behavior, there's one thing I learned from that entire experience is that I don't know.
mm,
There's a
mm,
lot that I know, and there's a lot of better alternatives, and there's a lot of better strategies and things that we can implement. But I don't know the potential of the person in front of me. It could be far beyond what even I can see. I don't know the
totally.
potential for the struggle and what it could be created, but I do know what has happened. I do know that Viktor Frankl went through concentration camps and lost
Mm,
his entire family and still created something that allowed people to have greater meaning in their life for lifetimes now because of that experience. I do know that Nelson Mandela was imprisoned for trying to bring a country together. And instead of being broken, came out and decided to unite them. I do know that at all the people who created these massive, amazing contributions to society, they honored their struggle. And so I don't know for sure that you're going to get the result that you want and that you're going to get bliss and happiness and it's going to be amazing. There's no way. But I do know it's possible. And so that's my submission to you is I would say, you don't know. And if you think you do know, that's actually why you're struggling so much.
mm,
You're going to
mm.
miss your opportunity to get out of it. And at the end of your life, would you rather have looked for the possibilities and given everything you had to find the potential and make a meaningful impact, not just for you, but for everyone in your life? Or would you rather just decide that you're going to commit to that story, that the struggle can't be honored? There's nothing we can do here. And I don't see how that could serve you. So the first thing I'd say, and also I want it to serve you. I want to see you happy and healthy, not just for me, but because if there's a bunch of people in despair, more people will follow.
Yep,
And that's the
absolutely.
second thing I'd say. If you're lost in the struggle, if you're literally in this place where you don't understand like everything, I can promise you this, go out and help somebody. Because if you're drowning in the struggle, especially if you have resource, if you're eating Chipotle for lunch and you are in the struggle, I'm sorry. You you are in your own world.
Yep.
You're creating that misery because you're not helping other people. And if your story is no, I help everyone else but not myself, you're not helping them to help them, you're helping them for you. If you are drowning in despair, I have yet to see someone who's drowning in despair that isn't preoccupied with their self. And it's not a criticism. It's actually the opposite. It's not a criticism, but I will say it is a pattern. And it's actually one that's being taught to us in society. We're being
Yep.
taught to prioritize ourselves, self love, self care, self compassion, self. They're good things, but if they're not equally matched with other compassion, compassion for others, love for others, care for others, if they're not equally matched with that, then you become obsessed with self. And that will put you in a place of struggle that you'll never get out of. So if you're hearing this and you're like, dang, that might be me, I'm not sure, then I would say go find someone who's worse off and do something for them. It could be the smallest thing and just see how you feel afterwards.
And something as small as like a hello, a good morning, a smile in someone's direction that maybe you wouldn't otherwise smile at, or, and we're not saying go have a full conversation unless you want to, unless you feel compelled to, and it feels right. But one thing I love about what you said is that when you take that act, that small step towards helping someone else, and by the way, it doesn't mean putting yourself aside. It's actually the opposite. It's rising up, and being able to unite with our society in a way that brings us together and collaborates, rather than just being stuck in this self-despair, which is easy to do, right? Live Misery loves company, and it's so easy to be validated by people saying, "Oh yeah, what you went through is really hard. What you're going through, oh, it's so tough. I don't know how you're making it." And it's actually feeding us in a way that is causing us to kind of stay in that stuck place. So I love that you're one step of just getting out of that and helping to honor the struggle within yourself, just going out and volunteering or helping someone else, even in a small way, opening a door for someone, waving at someone, letting someone go across the intersection first before you, right? Those little things go a long way.
I love this. And actually, as I think about this, woo, going deep real quick.
Oh, yeah.
This is so here's something interesting to me. I lost my mom at 9 years old.
Mm.
And so for the rest of my life, every accomplishment that I would have, people would be shocked. I can't believe he's a good student after what happened to him. I can't believe he's going to college after what happened to him. I can't believe how nice of a young man he is after what happened to him. I can't believe he's happy because of what happened to him. If I listened to the expectations people had on me based on my struggle, they cared. They had empathy. They had pity in a good way. But oh my gosh, I would have been a mess. I would have been crippled by that. Never put expectations that because someone's struggling, they can't create something great. Never put expectation. I don't think they can handle it. Maybe we should not do that for them. Maybe we should give them the belief that they can go create something magical because we don't want to set expectations they can't reach. You ever put that on my future children? The expectation they can't, to me, that is active harm. We are not meant as human beings to sit through this life, get through it, and be safe. That's not what we're here for. Safety is great. And we want to create internal safety and we want to create love and compassion. As coaches, when people step into the room, the safety gives us space to expand what we can make happen. So treat people with love and compassion. But it is
Mm.
never, and this is really important, I think, because one great question is why are people so really critically divorced from a high performance lifestyle? It's because they have lowered their standards and people have also encouraged it. You need
Mm-hmm.
to raise your standards. You need to think, how do I get through life and have a nice relationship with the love of my life? I think, how do I create a smile so deep in the soul of the woman that I love every single day that she can't help but radiate bliss to the world around her? That's high performance living, and you'll have fun. It doesn't create expectation, it creates innovation, creation. It makes you just hunger to see and experience this life. And that's what humanity is meant for. At least that's what I believe we're meant for.
Oh, I love that, Mark. This is exactly why I wanted to have you as a guest today, because you have just such a depth of knowledge and so much experience where you're humbled by, and you've honored the struggle over and over again, and you've, instead of allowing it to consume you, you've done the opposite, where you've said, okay, this is my struggle, this is my hardship or challenge, whatever you want to call it, and you've taken it to that next level and said, how can I learn from this? And what's the lesson that I can grow from right now rather than drown it, which is so easy to do. It's so easy to get stuck in that and not be able to see a way out. But you did, and you're here to tell the tale. And this isn't going to be the only struggle and the only challenge that you have in your life. But we have a choice when we look at challenge, right? And when we have these things come into our life, I can so relate with you. I lost my dad right before my husband and I got married, to the point where I actually brought my wedding dress to the hospital because we didn't know, is he going to be okay? Is he going to make it? And we almost got married in the hospital. We decided not to because he was doing better. And then he very quickly took a turn, and it was almost too late. But it just didn't feel like the right time to move forward with it. and where I feel, and so connect with you on that things are meant to happen the way they do, and it's up to us to take that as lessons that we can learn and grow and continue to live the legacy. My dad, he was such an amazing man. And so my takeaway from that is living his legacy, being able to connect with other people and take that life of that we have, that we only get one of, and living it through joy and excitement, and being excited to just be alive.
I love that. And I love that you shared that because that too, like I'm picturing that. I'm walking by the hospital room, right? Or I'm walking by and I just see someone with a dress in
Mm,
there, right? Or I see them outside and I see you there and you're like thinking about it. And
mhm.
God, if I was lucky enough to have a conversation with you in that moment, whoa, what's going on here? This is really cool. And I get to hear the story. If I like I live for that because what
Mhm.
most people might hear is when you haven't been through intense struggle, you might be like, oh, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And you might be like, I can't imagine what that would be like. And that's nice because you might not be able to know exactly what that's like. And so there's a sensitivity to our pain that we would experience in that moment. And man, there's a whole other side. If we're open as people who've been through pain to actually encourage people, you might not. I appreciate that, and like I think you might get a less. I have a client who this shocked me. He knows my story, and we're very close. We're friends and clients. I believe that coaching is not a hierarchy. I believe it's a process, so you could
Yes.
facilitate it. I don't have to be above someone to coach them. I don't have to. There's no thing here. It's a process. It's a role that if someone graces me with the honor to have, I get to facilitate. And for this client, he had witnessed me at a live event, and he heard me talking about my mom.
Mm.
And then he sent me an audio one day, and he said, "Wow." He was like, I can't believe how much you honor your mom and what you do. And then he was realizing, he was like, my mom, there's posts that I put online and she's the only one who likes them. And I used to be like, oh gosh, only my mom liked this. He's right now, he's like, oh my gosh, my mom liked this. He's like, there's going to be a story one day where I get to say it was my mom who liked every post. And he was like, just because he heard this story, now he has that honoring of his mom, and now he calls his family once a week, and he's
Wow.
intentional, and it's different, right? That right there, that's what we do. When you said that, I kept thinking to myself, who is it in my family that I want to make sure gets to witness and see the love that I have
Ooh,
for
nice.
the love of my life? So thank you. And also, as weird as this sounds, like I never wish those things on people,
Right.
and I'm grateful for what you're creating with that experience. I think it's really beautiful.
I so agree. Gratitude just goes such a long way. And I think even when we tap into a little bit of appreciation for the day, these small things, right? My son, he's been sick for the last 2 weeks. He got hit with pneumonia. He had a bad reaction to the antibiotics. And, he was in such good spirits the whole time. And I thought, man, there is a lesson to be learned right there. Just watching this kid just rise above and feel like, you know what? There's a lot of things going on internally, but I still have a smile on my face, and I'm still waking up every morning excited. And the whole time I just kept thinking, wow, I'm really grateful to have my health right now. Because it's so easy to just forget about those small things. We say they say don't take the small things for granted. That's hard to do sometimes, because there's so many things to be grateful for around us, which is where I think that could be another step that people could take to just notice what's around you, who's around you, what kind of impact you can make on another person's life, and how you can be grateful for what you do have, and continue to make those connections around you.
I love that. I'm 100% with you on that. And I think that's actually the beauty is that, a lot of times in life, uh, we're very vulnerable as human beings to scarcity,
Yeah, yeah.
to believing that it's the last. And when we go through grief, it actually can activate scarcity even more because
Mhm.
there's a real realization like not everything is going to be this way forever. And so it's like it's really powerful to realize that. But in relationships, I'm really a fan of proactively creating day one energy, first time energy,
Mm.
first date
Mm.
energy. Like in my mind, I have decided that the earth, I've just made the decision. I'm open to changing it, but I don't know. So right now I've decided earth is life one of 100. And when I meet my love, which I have, and I get to be with her, this is date one of 100. There are 100 lifetimes we're going through together, and this is the first one. Most people, that's the first 6 months of their relationship. But how would you show up differently if you knew you had 100 of them together? And this was just the first one. It's like it just changes it. And high performers do that. They construct the game in their mind. They ask the right questions so that they actually create the right motivation. They change their behavior and they get the results that it seems like everybody's fighting to get, but they get them easier because they change the way they see the world. And it's not delusional. It's actually, that's just a possibility. We don't know.
Right, right.
I love
Absolutely.
that.
I do too. And I love how you talked about day one energy. There's something so profound and impactful about day one energy, right? It's like that first, all those first, especially, if you've had kids or puppies, kittens, like all those like little firsts that you get to experience, even, being with someone or having a new friendship or relationship of any kind, all those firsts are exciting. And somewhere along the way, sometimes we tend to forget about the magic of those firsts. So I love that you talked about, yeah, how can we activate that day one energy even more and bring it to our daily life? Because just because it's not a first anymore doesn't mean that we can't still activate that energy. That is so powerful, Mark. I love that.
That's high performance, baby.
Yes.
That's what we do. I love that because now just imagine if you're listening to this and you're enjoying this, just imagine if you had a community of people that you constructed over the next year that all thought like this. That these
Mm,
were your
mm.
conversations. This wasn't just podcast. This is how the love of my life and I talk to each other. This is how my friends talk to each other. What if you had a whole circle of people who thought like this, talk like this, and then they were like, because of that, they were creating, they were getting innovative with every dimension of their life. That is, if you live that life and you create that for yourself, it is genuinely life changing for you, but for everybody around you.
Absolutely. And I think that in talking about this high performance living, right, which, it's being able to maintain your well being and positive relationships and continue to nurture those around you, the things that are serving you the best, which is going to change. It's going to ebb and flow as our seasons of life are evolving and moving forward. And what's so powerful about this particular conversation is that you're hitting all these points, you're hitting all these areas, and talking about with so much high impact how people can start doing that today. And something that you can do, even if it's small, which also, I think you should choose one thing, if there's even just one thing that stuck out from this conversation, and just start applying that. Because that's also what high performers do is you start with small habits and you build over time. You start with one thing, get really good at it, and then build on. Don't try to do everything at once because that's how you burn out and you're like, it's too much, it's overwhelm, it's stress, it's anxiety, right? And we get excited and we want to change and we want to grow and we want to evolve. But implementing things one thing at a time and just adding things in at a strategic way is the best way to go so that you don't burn out. So, Mark, I would love to know what are some maybe like really helpful habits or routines that you have that really help you to be a high performer.
Identify what you are most afraid of and go face it right now.
Ooh, ooh, nice,
Like
nice.
genuinely, I actually believe so. I've grown up in the psychology world for the last 12 years, and I'm not a clinical psychologist. I'm a social psychologist, but I've
Mm,
read the literature back and front of developmental psychology, personality psychology, social psychology, and clinical psychology. And if there's one thing that is absolutely clear, it's that the majority of pathology that gets created, I'm not saying every pathology, this is a personal opinion, but from my read of the literature, the majority of pathology that gets created is due to avoidance. There's
yeah.
something that you are afraid of. So for me, I had a severe panic disorder, panic attacks that would
Mm,
last 3 days long, complete disassociation, shaking, convulsing, stuff that was just crazy. And it happened to me in my teenage years. And they offered me medications. At that time, it would have been benzodiazepines.
mhm, mhm.
And I'm not for or against them, but I just knew that if I took them, I didn't trust it because my parents used pills to solve those problems and it didn't seem to work. And so I watched people around me trying to solve everything with a pill, trying to solve everything with an escape. And I, as a conscious 16, 17-year-old, decided to lean into it.
Wow.
And so I started doing crazy stuff. Like I'd have a panic attack and I'd be like, okay, I'm fully disassociated. My entire body is shaking. Let's see if I can catch a ball behind my back. What? I played baseball and basketball. So let's see if I can catch a ball behind my back. While I'm in the middle of, I can't even tell I'm even on this planet anymore. And my mind's a million places over. See if I
Yep.
can catch a ball behind my back. And I caught it. And I started looking for these things and challenging the assumptions of where things were. I used to be afraid of losing people in my life.
Mm,
Okay. So I look at that. What would it be like? Stare it down. What would it be like? And how would I show up in an inspiring fashion? I have gone through every worst case scenario that I could have in my life and identified how I would show up in inspiring fashion. And I'm not saying it won't be hard when they come, but
right.
that is if you want unshakable confidence to go create and to free yourself, whenever you have a fear, whether it's something to eat, like I trained myself to like every single food because there's a fear of what it would be like, how I would experience taste. I overcame that. That sounds crazy to people, but most people, they box themselves in with their preferences and they avoid their fears. Never escape life. Choose today. If I'm afraid of something, I will not escape it. I will face it. It doesn't mean that you constrict your life to it.
Right.
It just means that you don't run from it. And I think that's the highest performance habit. It's called courage. And I'm not saying, yeah, this isn't professional medical advice.
Right.
This is a personal belief that if you embrace facing your fear, you don't assume it'll be instant, but you decide whatever I'm afraid of, I will become unafraid of.
Mm,
And you live your life that way, by the end of your life, you tell me if you wouldn't be one of the most inspiring people in front of anybody that you walk into, and that you wouldn't make the world a better place just by having done that.
mm. Wow, that is so powerful. And I think even just hearing you talk about that one thing, being able to summon the courage that you need to, instead of just being boxed by your preferences. When you said that, I immediately had this visualization of this box of like, here's all my preferences. I'm going to stay in this nice, safe little box. We're not going to go outside of it. We're going to stay right here. But when you do, and when you explore other things and you allow yourself, give yourself permission to get out of that box and do something differently, really incredible things unfold and happen in your life. And Mark, you are living proof of that.
Let's go. I love that. And I love you are too. And I just love it because at the end of the day, if you do that, and you might say, maybe that's not what you want to do. I'm not going to tell you there's a better option. Some people change their life by going for the biggest, boldest decision they can think of, and they go all in. Some people change it by stacking tiny habits and building a foundation that's unshakable.
Yeah,
High performers who sustain it do both. And
absolutely.
what I love about when you walk out of here, like the number one thing you and I are both pointing to is default to action. If you're scared of cold water, go give yourself 15 seconds under cold water. You're not going to like whatever, or put your hands under a cold sink. If you're scared of a food, you don't like bananas, but your partner has bananas in the house, eat one. If you're scared to talk to your parents because of whatever reason, call them right now. Like that, and just say hi. Don't have any expectation. Hi, I don't know what to say to you, but I wanted to call you because you're my parent and I wanted to call you. And that's all. What? Okay. Just start. You only got one life. Like, don't. The fight for safety is actually just a fight to suppress your beautiful human potential and spirit. And so do it and recognize you can create equanimity amidst that chaos.
I'm reading Mel Robbins' Let Them Theory right now. I don't know if you've read it, but it's really good. And just today, I read this quote. I gotta read this because it's so on point with what you're talking about. She says, "You are capable of creating anything that you want if you are willing to put the time and energy into working for it."
It's literally most coaches that I see. If you're a coach listening to this and you've gotten this far and you're asking the question of like, how do I get clients or how do I create a practice or create transformation, but I want to do it in a way that gives me the exact lifestyle that I want. I just want to submit something to you. Ask yourself what it would really be like to create a transformation for someone that is generational change. Through the coaching we do, I've been able to help unite people with their children after years of estrangement. I've been able to help people completely switch and pivot their careers. I've been able to help people reawaken and reinvigorate relationships or even repair them with people that they love or help them through the process of walking away. I've had so many people in the last several years come to me and tell me this one decision, this one move, who I am now is forever life changing. And I'm so grateful for that. And I don't think I would have became that person if every day I woke up and I said, how do I create a business that supports my lifestyle? I think I asked the question, and this is the challenge to coaches, and it's not popular opinion. How do I create an impact that's revolutionary?
Mm, mm,
That if you ask that question, the lifestyle you will experience, and you should create great lifestyle around it. And it's worthwhile. And you can do that with high performance habits. But if you are focused on impact truly first and the desire to become the person who can make that happen, you will live a life that is so inspiring. There's no way that you would be unfulfilled.
mm. I love that. And it goes back to what you said, default to action, right? And taking that first step or that third step or that next step, all these small things, they compound and they add up over time. And so even if you're not seeing results immediately, you got to keep showing up. You got to keep putting one foot in front of the other because the way that you don't see results is if you quit and is if you never try and if you never do the thing and keep building and keep showing up. So I love that you're talking about just choosing today and defaulting to an action, something, that next action, that bold step that you can take. And that's high performance living. That's, exactly what we do as coaches in being able to help people to reach that and cheer them on and bring them to, okay, this is challenging or this is frustrating. So how can we break this down into a habit, a routine, a belief? Something, this it's all mindset, right? It's all a mindset and being able to train your brain and train your mind to keep showing up and keep taking those actionable steps to make an impact. Love that, Mark.
Go. I love it. I love it so much. And cheers to that. Cheers to that kind of life.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
I want children, and if my children grew up and I want a daughter. I want to be a daughter dad. I always
Mm.
have. And if my daughter grew up and she was looking up to you, and that's what you were teaching and role modeling and living like you are, I'd be very grateful that my daughter had you as a role model. So thank
Mm.
you.
Thank you, Mark. It's so great to be able to just connect with you and for you to share your story. I love that you're able to bring something, even if this reaches one person, and you said the one thing that that one person needs to hear today to start making a change in their life, something of impact, something of action, something of moving towards high performance living or maintaining high performance living. That right there is gold. So, Mark, what's something that, if you were to say one step, one action that someone can take starting today to live a more high performance life?
Yeah, the first thing that so John Dewey, one of the most famous psychologists in education, revolutionized education, made a really great point that we don't learn from our experience. We learn from the reflection on our experience.
Mm, love that.
So first habit that I'd have for absolutely anybody, and it's mine. I've been doing it for years. It's changed my life. Is get yourself a personal development system. I use the high performance planner. Like this is a promotion. I don't own it, but I would get myself a high performance planner. Quite literally, the number one thing that I would do, I would take a step. I would either get that, I would go get the Growth Day app, something that has a system. Those are the ones that I use that have a system where you can start setting intentions in your life and just through the system. Just open it up, do it exactly as it is, prioritize the time, do the system. If you're all in on your life, seriously, hire a coach. We coach because that transformative relationship will change your life. So hire Heather, hire me. I'd love to meet you. We do this work because when people come and work with us and we help them cultivate that journey, they take that initial action, they sign up, they're all in, they make a commitment, and they take that action with us. Our greatest joy in life is not just helping them a little bit. it's to really elevate them to that level of high performance. And that's why they come back and work with us over and over again, or they work with us for years. Several of my clients have been working with me for years, not because they're dependent, but because they're so much stronger and they're living such higher quality lives that they're ready to keep ascending and continuing. So that would be it. Get yourself a personal development system. And that way you can start actually learning from all the experiences that you have. If you're not doing that, you're leaving all the lessons life is teaching you on the table. And so
Yeah.
I think that's number one, mission critical. You got to do that.
Absolutely. And it brings that self-awareness that is so crucial in just to be able to live that high performance life and to be able to learn from what's around you and what's going on in your life and how you can continue to go up to that next level. We all have a potential to that is, I mean, there's a glass ceiling above us. And every time you grow, every time you adapt, every time you learn something new, you're reaching higher and higher and higher. And that's what's so incredible about this journey of being able to go through a personal development and personal growth, because that's what it is. It's not, oh, you do step one, two, three, and then magically you're cured, right? Or magically you've got all the answers. No, we spend a lifetime learning and continuing to learn so that we're constantly adapting, right? We're constantly helping each other and reaching out to them. Ah, so good. I love this conversation, Mark. So tell me, where can people connect with you? Where can they learn more about you or things that you have to offer? How can they get in contact?
Yeah, the easiest way to get in contact with me is absolutely on socials. You can go to at face my fear. I got the best handle ever when I was like a teenager. It's like at
Nice.
face my fear, early Facebook. We just created at face my fear on Instagram or Facebook, and you'll see me, Mark Matthews. And you can connect with me on there. You can just shoot me a DM, but
Nice.
also just read through my posts. Like you're gonna get a flavor for what I'm doing, who I am. A lot of what I post, it's I don't attempt to compartmentalize my life. You'll see me. That's me there. I integrate my life. I don't compartmentalize it. And so you'll see that there. And if you want to pop over to LinkedIn, I'm doing a new revamp on there. And
Oh,
so
nice.
right now, it's like the next couple of weeks, you'll be able to see more just focused content on high performance, who you're becoming. And that's just you just look up Mark Matthews or Dr. Mark Matthews, and you'll be able to find me. I mean, you see my face. You'll be able to find me over there. Great way to connect with me. And in the bio on those pages, I have a link to my website if you want to connect, talk about coaching, talk about whatever it is that you're trying to do to grow to your next level. Then there's options for you there. And I'd love to meet you, hear your story, and help you along.
Fantastic. Mark, thank you so, so much for just sharing your passion and all this. I mean, absolutely fantastic and fabulous energy. I think some takeaways for me that really stood out is, if you're in this struggle, if you're having a hard time, just being able to take that step and volunteer or reach out to someone, connect in a way that helps you to reach into that community that is around you, because that's where we collaborate as a human society, and that's where we create unity. And the other thing I love that you said today is to choose today. And I know I mentioned this earlier and repeated it, but I'm going to say it again. Choose today, show up with that day one energy and default to action so that you can find something that helps you to get to that next level. Love, love, love hearing that. Mark, any final wrap up thoughts or anything that you would like to share?
Yeah, I think the final thought that I have for you is that I love you. If you're listening to this, I made a commitment when I was 17 to become a person who loves and likes all people.
Yeah.
And I actually think that, and if you hear that, for some of you, you're like, BS. For some of you, you're like, that's inappropriate. And for some of you, you're like, I get that. Like, I love you too. And it actually comes from the person that we trained as coaches under, Brendan Burchard, this idea of love. I think love it's an intention, it's an energy, it's something that is completely abundant and we can choose to give it any time. And I truly believe that in loving each other, even when we're at our worst, especially when we're at our worst, that choosing to genuinely love each other is the gateway to a greater level of expansion and freedom, but also it is what's necessary for humanity to actually make it as a species. And so I love you. And this space can be scary because Heather and I have both invested and learned a lot. And so if you're new to this space, you're like, is everybody just trying to get my money? Are they just trying to sell me these things because they want to believe it themselves? And so they want me to believe it, validate it. And I know that because I talk to a lot of people and I help a lot of people who haven't had the experiences we have had yet. And so I just tell you this, ask yourself and trust yourself to find people who genuinely care for you and who you can genuinely care for and start there and build from there. That'd be my message to you. I love you, and I hope that you love me too, or someday you will.
I love that. So amazing and really powerful. Everything that you have to say, Mark, has just been really helpful. And I think anyone who is listening right now and following this took away some really impactful golden nuggets. So thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who tuned in today and just followed. And I hope that you find something that you can just start making that change in your life or start making that growth process in your life. So, as always, I hope that everyone just continues to strive for balance, for growth, and living your own best 360 life. So, until next time, take great care, and I'll see you again. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.